into order for April 23rd for the budget workshop. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? At this time, I would like Hiram to introduce our two new employees to the town.
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask, we'll start with John Michaud. Michaud? I'm going to get it wrong every time.
No, you're good.
If you want to step up to the podium real quick. John is our new Stormwater Manager.
Hi, John.
Just give a little brief.
Oh, okay. John Michaud, I live in Oak Island, and I've been in Oak Island since maybe '83. But I've worked a number of different places in Brunswick County over the years, and most recently in public service, I was with the town of Oak Island in Public Works Director, and I worked in Stormwater Management for about 7 years. And prior to that, I worked for the Brunswick County School System as Human Resources Director, and I've worked for Carolina Power and Light and the City of Wilmington in Human Resources and Risk Management. So I've been in the public sector for 22 years plus. And I saw this opening and thought it was right up my alley. I was ready to get back into the public sector again, and I'm happy to be here. And anxious to get to work.
It's good to have you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And last week also starting is Todd Rademacher. He is our new Planning Director.
Hey. Pleasure to be here. Really excited about the opportunity to be in Sunset Beach. Most extensive work I've had is here in Eastern North Carolina. I spent 17 years with the town of Surf City in Pender County. I've come to this area to play a lot of golf over the years. I think I'm an excellent fit. A lot of experience with island communities as well as an area that has a mainland component to it, which here in North Carolina obviously is unique. But I am excited about being here and the opportunities to work with each and every one of you, and looking forward to it.
It's good to have you, Todd.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So now just open up for discussion, or do I want department heads to come up?
Not really, unless you've got specific questions for him. And what we've got for you is the changes that y'all requested from last week, which basically falls under the category of the fire fees being updated and matched into this ordinance.
Okay.
Or not this ordinance, but this draft of the
At
budget.
this time, we'll go through discussion about the fire fees. Is there any discussion on it? Charlie?
None.
John?
It was clear to me.
Okay. Rich?
Yeah, why are we raising them?
Okay.
We
Jan?
raised the fire fees 70, don't cut me off, Mr. Benton. We raised the fire fees 75% the past several years, which is equivalent to a 56% tax rate hike.
That's not true.
That's not true?
No. Okay.
Well, no, why is it not
I'm
true?
just telling you, Rich, per household, it's an average of $12 per household increase this year. What that does, that allows people who do not live in this town of Sunset Beach to contribute to the fire department for $26,206.
And how much are the Sunset Beach taxpayers contributing?
$65,132.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Jan?
Yes, I think our taxpayers would like to know the reason for the tax hike, and we have more people here at this meeting than we've had before, so if someone could please explain that.
And talking to Randy Thompson of the county, what this would do would allow.
Excuse me, Mark. Jan said tax increase. Are we talking about?
I mean the fire fee
Fire-
increase.
Okay.
Thank you.
And talking to Randy
As well-
Thompson.
Excuse me,
Sorry.
as well as the tax increase, when we get to that.
When we get to,
As far as the tax increase for fire department, our budget was short because of several reasons, Rich, you're aware of them. And that to make up the difference, to make us revenue neutral, the 5% was something we needed to do. Either you get it out of our fire tax, or you get it out of our general fund. And this way, at least $26,000 of this is paid by out-of-town people. The other way, 100% of the tax increase would be paid just from the people who live in Sunset Beach. So I thought it was prudent to allow everybody in our fire district to pay something of that, and they are, $26,206.06.
And that's the increase, or,
That's the increase to just people outside our
okay,
jurisdiction.
That's for the
Just wanted to clarify.
5%.
right, just wanted to
That's for
clarify
the
that.
5%.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, when we implemented the increase in the fire fee, the 75% the past several years, they were not revenue neutral. Okay?
Rich, where would you like to take the money out of? Just tell me. You have the answer. Tell me where you want to take the money from. If we don't do the fire fee and collect an additional 80-some thousand dollars, where do you want that money to come from, Rich?
I think your viewpoint is parochial. The sense that the town staff has already eliminated many of the want lists that the council has recommended, and I respect that. Okay? But we're now hiring an animal control officer when this service is done by the county. We're going to buy that person a car. We're giving out $500 bonuses to our employees. I want to ask the question, we're raising the fire fee 5%. We're increasing the tax rate by another penny. Can you explain to me what the benefit is to the taxpayers? What have they seen with all this?
Better service.
Better service.
Yeah.
That's
And,
subjective.
well, of course it is, Rich, in your eyes. Tara, can I ask you a question? The average home in this town is what, 2,200 square feet?
I'm not sure about the average square foot.
It's in that neighborhood. What are those people paying?
Well,
Yeah,
it
about
actually
2,200, 2,500 square
Right.
feet.
It's actually on here, the majority of the homes. Yeah, 2,000.
So it's an increase of $5 to those people roughly. So for the 5% increase, the people have a 2,500 square foot house, it's paying roughly $5 more in taxes this year. So we don't have a deficit in our fire budget. That's the
We
answer.
never had a deficit in our fire department.
We did this year.
Also, if I may real quick address part of the conversation also involves the tax increase, the tax rate. Just a reminder that last year, we created basically an entire new department to provide a whole new service that's been neglected in this town for a long time for stormwater. And you did it by reducing taxes and drawing heavily from your fund balance. And in order for us to sustain that program over the 10-year life cycle and continue it on after that, I mean, you have to be able to generate the revenues you need to provide for that service, and we cannot just
Hiram?
bankroll it.
Hiram, if you look at the revenue projections and the revenues of the previous years, we don't have a revenue problem, period.
You also didn't have a stormwater program.
We had a stormwater program, and last year we had one-shot expenses.
Several of those
Okay,
expenses were
and
one shot, but you still
moreover-
have to do the work.
And
which-
moreover, this council could have given Representative Eiler a fact sheet as we have $1 million sitting in the beach nourishment fund as we continue to accrete sand. That's $1 million doing absolutely nothing. So the council could have had, if they just provided a fact sheet to Representative Eiler, to use some of those funds to offset the stormwater expense. It did not.
I know, but as we explained at the time of that matter, if we moved forward, we couldn't touch the funds that were already allocated for we'd only be moving forward. The money moving forward could be changed, but not
I'm
what was.
thinking long-term
I
planning.
understand, but at the same time, we'd have had to change several of the town's regulations.
I'm not
the
gonna
ordinances that
convince
establish
anybody.
That's straight from the attorney to the finance committee, that we'd have to make those changes to our own ordinances in order to get that passed.
So,
So we would lose all control over our own money. So the council made the decision not to move forward with that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Charlie.
it's ridiculous to think about using the stormwater funds for anything, the beach fund for anything but the beach. It's not that far up the coast. This past year, some of the beaches were devastated. Don't think that couldn't happen here. And if it does happen, that $1 million that we might be able to use will be gone in an instant.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Jan?
this past year, we have spent funds that were not provided for in the budget. How much of this shortfall was caused by those expenditures?
To my knowledge, none.
Well, not entirely true. I mean, it contributed, but there was already going to be, we were already drawing out of our fund balance to budget for this year, period. That was a conscious decision y'all made last year to go ahead and draw from fund balance. We just ended up drawing more when the sidewalk project came in more, when y'all decided to do the lighting project. But we're also taking control measures on ourselves to cut some spending to mitigate that factor internally.
Tara, how
But we
much
were
was that?
already going to be withdrawing several $100,000 from the bank, from fund balance.
When the budget started, the fund balance that was appropriated was 500,000. And then, like Hiram said, the projects that came in after that also contribute to appropriating funds out of the fund balance. But we have tried to regulate any spending so that we can minimize what comes out of the fund balance. Because if it goes as budgeted right now, and all of the budgets, all the expenditures were spent, we'd still be pulling around 600,000 or 700,000, and we're trying to minimize that as much as we possibly can.
Can you explain why we don't want to do that? So, if Rich wants to pull the money out of there or accommodation tax, and we would lose control of our money where it can go,
Yeah,
correct?
so essentially, any accommodations tax that we have right now and that we use for services for the town would have to be taken over by a travel.
A TDA.
Yeah, a TDA.
Right.
And so we would just get the money in and give them a check, and we wouldn't have any say on how that money was spent whatsoever.
And people of the town, that's the main reason we didn't do it. We don't want to lose control of our money where it may have to go. So I thought it was appropriate to do a 5% tax increase on the fire tax, where, again, $26,000 was paid by people, not residents, for Sunset Beach.
I'm still trying to get an answer why we have more firemen than any other town.
Okay, we've
And-
talked about this 100
Well,
times, Rich.
let me explain something.
You have 100 times. 100 times, Rich.
Yeah, I understand, and you won't listen, because,
I've listened to you for 3 years, Rich.
yeah, we've spent $300,000 just for the additional firemen we've had the past 2 years. We have more full-time firemen than any other town. We've hired 3 firemen. That's around $50,000 a year loaded. And you know what that means, benefits and overtime or any other cost. That's $300,000 a year. Why do we have more firemen than any other town? I can't get an answer.
Paul, have you ever tried to talk to Rich about why? Did you come up and explain why?
I believe last year at the budget, Richard gave a lengthy presentation about the needs of
Mr. Benton, you voted
number
against
of people
hiring
on
3
the
more
fire
firemen.
I did.
trucks and
Yes, you did.
how many
said I
people.
did, Rich.
I know that.
Not listening.
Why is a question a lot of people ask about a lot of different things.
I understand.
Why, and I don't have all the numbers of if we have more full-time firemen, part-time firemen than
Lisa has it.
a lot of different places. The couple of the documents I've reviewed are inaccurate.
Just let him finish talking, okay? please?
But when we start talking about staffing, and why Sunset Beach has, your question is why we have more firefighters than every other town. I don't know if we do 100%. Some I'm sure we do, some we don't. Why, I can answer you why we have the staffing that we have now. And, and as far as our staffing level now, you know, my mission as a fire chief is, and those under my command, we are gonna challenge the status quo of the fire service for one, and then also empower those we serve to reduce risk. And the staff that we do have is doing a great job at that. So that's the why. We got to challenge the status quo to take care of all of this and empower everybody in the town, visitors alike, to reduce risk to themselves and everybody else they're involved with.
Chief, what's the minimum number of firefighters you need on a fire to go into a building?
I gotta grab my other book, but somewhere, the NFPA standard is something about 19, but it depends on the type of structure, it depends on, those are standards. And we try to meet them, but the number of full-time firefighters, we gotta have three different shifts. But I guess the why to me is still, we got to challenge the status quo in the fire service to be the best and take care of the town of Sunset Beach the best we can. Beyond that, the how and the what, that's in the weeds, and for me to figure out and make sure we're doing the best with the funds that we have.
Chief, there is no doubt that the systems that you have put in place has made this a more professional and effective fire department. I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning the fixed costs that we have built into the system by having 3 additional firemen on the staff. It's an expense. I can't answer here definitively, is it necessary or is it wanted? Okay? The only thing that I can do is look at the statistics from the other fire departments that were presented to the council after they approved the 3 firemen. Not before, after. They asked for 6 firemen, and being government the way it is, we compromised to 3. And I still don't understand it. We've got quality part-timers, we've got quality volunteers. So from a business logic point of view, I don't understand it. I know we need coverage. More doesn't necessarily mean better. So where's the balance?
Well, Rich, I have to disagree sometimes. In the situation with a fire, you definitely don't want to be undermanned. So him having those extra 3 firemen, I have no problems with that.
And if I can, just for a second, I think right now there's a good balance. It's could we add 3 more firefighters? I could probably put together one heck of a case to do that right now, but as I'm analyzing the department, and we have 5 full-timers per shift, we have a good part-time support staff, we have an immense and greatly motivated volunteer staff right now. So all those 3 aspects combined are providing one heck of a service for the money that are coming up from the fire fees. And so I think is there a need for it? Yes. The run volume's there, the things we're doing in the community to reduce risk, I think we're doing a great job to give everybody their money's worth.
I don't disagree with that.
May I
We're
ask?
we're an elderly population. We don't have many fires, if any. Very, very few. And I think we can all agree to that.
See,
But what we have is, for example, we have the EMTs that are supported by the county, in which you also support. If I asked you, do we need more paramedics on the fire staff? Should some of our firemen be mandated to get their paramedic certification?
Right now, the way the county system is, the fire department, our fire department is, we operate under the protocol for EMT basic because the county has the paramedics. You know,
Right,
I'm a paramedic from Ohio.
right.
But I can't operate as a paramedic within the fire department. So those are some things and discussions.
Those are
that
are those
I'm happy.
restrictions that you have to deal with? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and those are some conversations, actually, before the meeting tonight. We were talking about continuing education and stuff with some of the county EMS folks. And, yeah, there's a great working relationship there, and we're looking at all different avenues of things we can improve with that, too.
Chief, Jan, Mrs. Harris has a question.
You mentioned volunteer firemen. How many volunteer firemen do we have, and what are they paid?
7?
4 plus 2.
6. 6. I think it's
Thank God you didn't need your toes.
yeah. So it's about 6, give or take one or so. $10 a call. So, for example, one of the volunteers, a couple of them come up to cover a shift as an extra. So if they say, I'm going to come up to the firehouse and be an extra for the day, they're paid $10
The day.
for an 8-hour day, unless they go on a call or do something, the tones go up. So it's a great way to supplement staffing, have extra personnel available and on hand, especially during some of the busiest parts of the day often, for a small expense.
Well,
Paul?
I don't know, did I answer that?
$10.
So it's $10. They're paid $10.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead, Charlie.
A volunteer can't go into a fire, correct?
It depends on the volunteer's level of certifications. But someone,
Depends on if they're certified in North Carolina also.
Yeah.
There's some legalities, but we have probably 2 in the fire. 1 definitely, and 2 possibly.
so the volunteer contingent, they're oftentimes seasoned veterans of the fire service. There's one from Chicago, Illinois. He worked in Joliet, Illinois, a busy suburb of Chicago, for 30 years and retired here. And he's a volunteer, and he can pump water through any one of our trucks. There's another retiree from FDNY, the fire department in New York. He did his entire career in the busiest city in the country. So he brings a wealth of knowledge and can pump trucks and run trucks. And a couple others up towards New Jersey and north that bring years of experience. And so
They also help
there's
you
a
with
common-
logistics for hurricanes and,
Oh, yeah.
I went to your operation room during the hurricanes, and those volunteers do a lot of that work.
They're a huge asset to the department, whether it be logistics or a community relations event, or pumping a truck on a fire, or they're the ones that hung the life rings on the beach last Thursday for us. We sent out an email, hey, we need a couple of people to help us. Boom, boom, right away, that we got it, we'll take care of it. And it's incredible.
Well, I don't have any questions. Anybody, any other questions?
I'd just sort of like to summarize a little bit.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. In a number of things in our budget, the idea that I think a good many on the council believe in is that we want to make sure that we are adequately funded today and going ahead to provide the services, that's police, that's fire, that's public works, now it's stormwater, as well as the admin that's here, to sustain us and to support us and continue to go forward. We went through the argument about the Beach Nourishment Fund. That's a fund that's like a disaster fund. It's not a savings account to go and supplement other holes in our budget. And we didn't want that resolution passed by the North Carolina legislature because we would lose control over all of those funds. Plus, we would use the funds potentially and deplete it. You know, our fire department and our police department manning levels now are things that we have worked on and brought up over the last 2 to 3 years to bring us up to good sustainability levels and keep a good balance. The 3 firemen that we're talking about here was in last year's budget that came in, and not under your budget, and you worked well with that. We had serious infrastructure issues that we finally have started last year and this year are addressing. You know, our analysis of what kind of tax rate we had actually took us up to a sustainability of about 19 cents. And all of us felt that that was a little bit too high. So we're going up 1 cent on our tax rate in order to provide the quality, the services, the safety, the protection in this environment that most of us came down here to enjoy. And you know, for what it's worth, at least when Charlie and I ran in this last election, we were very clear that we did not have any objections to raising taxes if it would be used for the public good and the benefit of Sunset Beach. And I think this budget does that quite well. And so I'm happy with a 1 cent increase.
Did we make a consensus on the fire part, or just an overall budget, or how do you want me to run that?
Essentially, what we're looking from y'all is, this being the last workshop, any changes that need to be made before we bring y'all the draft budget on May 6th, for y'all to set the public hearing for June 3rd.
Well,
And I don't see any changes
I
based
don't
on
need
what I've
any
seen here.
changes. Charlie, any changes on the fire,
No,
Or anything.
I don't
Anything,
see anything to
anything.
change
or anything?
anywhere.
Wow. We have a consensus that we go forward with this budget.
I do.
I do too.
Charlie? Rich?
No.
Dan?
No.
Aye. I just want to say, got in this council 3 years ago, the tax rate was 16 cents. 3 years, it's still 16 cents. I think we've done a very good job, especially adding stormwater to this budget, which is, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, that, in my opinion, the town and the town council's done an excellent job controlling the taxpayers' money.
And the fire fee 75% higher,
It's $5 per household, Rich.
which is equivalent to a 56% rate increase in taxes
Rich, get off your soapbox. It's $5 a house.
every year. When you increase the tax rate, the payment is every year.
So we have a consensus, we approve the budget, for consensus for the budget to go forward.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yes. So adjourn this meeting and come back at 6, or?
Yeah,
so
if
we
y'all
good?
want to, yeah, if there's nothing else on this, then that's the only thing on the agenda for today.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to adjourn this meeting and reopen